quick so we get some sound.
Running it through my cameras right now.
All right, we got sound now. Somebody let me know if we got sound. Lower, last one says no sound. I see it.
About 20 seconds left.
Okay, hopefully we got some sound.
Okay, you're good.
We're good? All right, well, good for sound. All right, good deal. Let me start over where we're at. So, a lot of people, let me back up. Welcome to the Mendota Ranch, now that you can hear me. I'm trying to get this video up on these live deer before they start shedding their antlers, because now's the time that we're starting to lose antlers now. A lot of comments were about the wheat mids. So the wheat mids is the byproduct of a flour mill. Okay, so I buy it in a semi-load. It comes in a little pellet. It's 14% protein, 8% fiber, 3 or 4% fat, which is perfect for a deer. And we used to buy it for about $150 a ton. It's a lot higher now. But if you can't get wheat mids, or you don't want a semi-load of it, you can get a creep feed. Most people don't know what creep feed is. Creep feed is like for your baby calves. When you get a creep feed, most of that is wheat mids, and so that'll save you a lot of money. Or you can just go buy the deer feed, and the deer feed is super expensive, but you can. So what we got the camera set up on where Max normally shows up, but I want to take you back a little history on Max. This was Max in 2017 when he was just a 2-year-old. Yeah, was he 2-year-old there? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 2-year-old. And he was a beautiful deer at 2. This is him at 3. So Max was a big deer at 3 even. And we've actually got one of his antlers, this antler on the right we have. And that was him again at 3. And then this was him when he was 4. Now this one, we've got these antlers we found, and we do have those mounted. And then this was him in 2000, last year, or a year before last. So that was him at 4 or 5. Is that 4? 5. 5. He was a big deer. And this year he's still wearing his antlers. So let's see if we can go. Oh, did y'all see Pink? That's Max. There's Pink. So Pink, we haven't seen him. I've got, if you watched the video the other day, we do have these antlers mounted. Pink was a beautiful deer, non-typical, but don't see him anymore. Hadn't seen him in quite a while. So let's go to our game cameras and see what we got going on with the game cameras. I hope Max shows up. He normally shows up every night about this time. It looks like we've just got a bunch of mule deer here. Let's go to some other cameras. So these Real Link cameras are live cameras if they got a signal. So it's it doesn't look like we have too many deer here. So let's go back to this one here. And now you can go back on these if y'all can follow along. So I can pull up the timeline, and on the very bottom you see these little blue dots coming up. I can pull this up anytime, and we can go all the way through all these cameras while we're waiting. So we got a couple coons. This was at midnight last night. If it's too small for you to read. And let's see if we can turn it a little bit better this way. Kind of messes it up a little bit, but I can't see what I'm looking at. Let's see. Let me scoot along here to a little earlier this morning. The live feed on the live feed is slow. So the coons, look at them dang coons. Freaking coons. Everybody likes to feed the coons, huh? Dang coons. So we oh, there's Max. There's Max. This was Max last night at 4:13. Let's see if we can see. This is a good video of him. Oh, he's under the camera. Yeah, he's under. So I'm trying to look at this and same nut, Jason. Yeah. Oh man. So I hope y'all can see this. So this is Max, and this was this was at 4:30 this morning. So hopefully he'll come in live here in a little bit, and we'll get to see him in a little bit. So this other deer on the right side, he's just a 2-year-old deer, already a 10-point, should grow up to be a good deer. The problem with these deer are we lose a lot of deer at about 3. So it's just deer go to fighting, and we just go to losing them at that time. So yeah, let's see where we're at. We're at 4. Problem is when I flip this thing up sideways, we lose it.
When you turn the landscape, it looks good on here.
Does it look good? All right, well, there's Max there. Let's see if we can back up one. So there we go. So some of the people ask me how did we grow such a big deer, and some of the ways we used to do it. So remember, I used to clone deer, and some of the things that I did, let me switch cameras here. So some of the things that we did whenever I was cloning deer, one of my customers gave me some really good does to pay for his clone, because like when we clone one, we charge for a whitetail, we charge $50,000 per clone. And so he traded me a bunch of really high-end whitetail does. So I had some of those in the pens. And essentially what I would do is we would go shoot a big deer here on the ranch, like one of the bigger deer on the ranch, and then I developed a way to flush his epididymal semen, so that's the semen out of his testicles, and then I would freeze that semen. And I could get 30 or 40 straws from that, and then we would take the native deer and breed it to the pen deer, and then those deer were released. And we used to be able to release deer on this ranch for a long time. And then when CWD came along, they come up and they said, well, no, you can't release deer. Even though your deer are tested and even though they're ranch raised, you can't release them onto the ranch. But now you can release elk and you can release everything else. You just can't release your native deer. So that put the brakes on that deal. So it's too bad, but we had a lot of good deer turned out that were really, 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 really good. And so we're using native genetics, which makes them, more resistant to whatever drugs or whatever diseases we had around here. Not drugs, diseases. I'm trying to get back to the live stuff. We should have deer showing up here any minute. One of the things that we're doing today is neat. I was working with my dogs today. I was thinking y'all wanting a video about dogs. Let's see what we got. We still got just the mule deer coming in right now. So it's still really daylight here. The deer are gonna start rolling in here any minute now. Yep. As soon as you see those mule deer starting to run off like that, that's always a good sign. Once the mule deer start running off, you know the whitetails are going to start moving in. So I've been seeing a lot of whitetails already that are shedding their antlers. Pink used to always shed his antlers earlier, and like right now. This deer here, these antlers. This is a deer, this was actually when he was like 9 or 10. We always called him a kickstand. And he was super cool. I mean, he's just a mainframe 8-point. I've got him mounted. I got his biggest antlers mounted. But he was a cool deer. But he always had this kickstand over here. If you can see that, that's always a cool deer. Cool deer. We've had a lot of cool deer out here, but Mendota Max is dang sure the best we've ever had. One of the things somebody's asked me about, like how we worm them. We actually do worm our wild deer, and how we do it is we use like Safeguard. So like when we're filling the feeders up, I mix Safeguard in there. I figure out how many pounds of feed is getting eaten a day, and then we calculate that, and then by using that number, then we know how much wormer to put in there. And we do it twice a year. In the fall, We do it after the first freeze, and then we do it in the spring. The spring's probably more important because I want them to go in, parasite free, because that's when they're starting to grow their antlers and they're fixing to start fawning. So yeah, so I'm trying to keep up with all these. Did you Max in the freezer? No.
No, the next one. Is that likely a descendant from a doe that is native or local?
Oh, yeah. So Max, I'm guessing was Max likely a descendant of a doe that is not a native. So that's where I was saying. And then I use a native buck semen. So I always use native buck semen that I told you. And so I assume we use that semen on a doe, a high, wide, and heavy doe that I had in the pens. And that was, he could be just completely native. He's never had an ear tag in it. And so the reason we call pink pink is because he kind of had a pink color to him. He, I don't know, he instead of being red, he was kind of a pink looking deer. So that's kind of why we called him pink. And then I don't know, I come up with crazy names for all of them. I've got a lot of other deer, we call them, and just because I call them this one day, might not be, I might call them something else. So like, I've got one 3-year-old deer I call Fork, and just because he forks over here. And I've got another deer we call Stickers. He's got stickers everywhere. It's just easy to remember. And if you remember these deer, the antlers look the same every year. Same year after year after year. They've got the same characteristics. They're, if they've got a drop over here or a kicker over here, most of the time the next year they'll have pretty much the same thing. Now they can't injure it and it might not be the same, but it's usually pretty dang close. So I'm looking at the camera, seeing if we're getting any deer coming. Oh, yeah, we got deer over here. Let's see if we can pull this one up. All right, I don't know who we got. A doe. I don't recognize this. Oh, this is a little old junker buck. No, yeah, have I picked a name for the colt? Not yet. I've gotten a ton of good names. I actually need to go through them all and write them down. There's some freaking good names. So what you're watching now, you're actually watching a live feed on a deer feeder right now. This deer here is pretty broken up. This is a 3-year-old deer. I think he's going to be, whoa. Our live feed, he just disappeared. Got a coon down there now. 2 coons. I don't know if do you reckon them coons scared them off? That stinks. Something just scared those deer off. But it is still pretty dang early. But I was wanting to catch these in the daylight. Let's see who we got here. We still got a mule deer. Still got a mule deer at this feeder. So the average weight of the deer that we, of our deer are like the bucks, like a mature buck, you're looking at 250, 260. That's on the hoof. The average doe is about 160, 180, maybe 190 for a big doe. And we've seen some that are really big and fat. And so somebody's asking why they shed their antlers. So antlers, that's why we call them antlers and not horns. Antlers are shed every year. If you're an elk, you shed antlers. So the testosterone actually leaves the system and it releases the pedestals, and that's why they shed. And so there's some study about the longer they carry their antlers, the more healthy they are. I don't know if that's true or not, but but that's what they say. So I'm flipping back. I'm trying to look at 2 cameras at once, or 2 screens. Sorry about that. So anyways, it's important that we'd like to see them carry their antlers extremely long. So we'd like to see them carry their antlers at least till March, and then they'll start growing their antlers back. And if you watch the antler growth, they'll grow inches every day. It's amazing how fast those antlers grow. And you can actually take a deer antler. You can take, like, say, if you get an antler, a deer in, and you can go cut it. If you want to cut it, you can change it all up. You can cut a piece of antler off and sew it to their chest and get some blood flow. The antler will keep growing. So antlers are crazy things, and how they know to grow the same that each year is so cool. Because I mean, they're growing here, and then all of a sudden you'll see this kickstand come down, and then they've got this little sharp point here. Antlers are amazing. You can go a long ways with antlers. And do I ever catch porcupines? Is that what it says?
Poachers.
Poachers. Oh no. No. Yeah, it's if you kind of got to know us. So number one, we train military out here. We train snipers. We are long range shooters, and to be able to come into the ranch, you're extremely committed. I mean, you're like extremely committed to come into the ranch. So like it's one way in, one way out. So there's not many poachers are brave enough to walk in here and try to get in and out of here. I don't know that I've ever. Why did I quit? But then I always had 6 or 8 horses I was training on my own. And so it's a lot of work training that many horses. But at the time when we were cutting, our kids were young. We were cutting I didn't quit soon enough. So don't get me wrong, cutting horses they're great and they're fun and I love it, but it's a different crowd. You know, used to be a lot of us ranchers and country people like that, and it's just not like that anymore. It's just a different crowd. So let's see what we got here. Okay, well, this is just a doe, white-tailed doe, and a couple coons. Did you think your alfalfa field? Yes. Does my alfalfa field contribute to the size of my deer? Absolutely. There's nothing better than freaking alfalfa on raising deer. Alfalfa is the perfect feed. If you want to plant the perfect food plot, alfalfa is it. There's just nothing better. And so we've got almost 200 acres of irrigated alfalfa, and it's full of deer every night. Usually pretty late, but hopefully these deer start coming in. I'm amazed Max isn't in here yet. So yeah, usually Max. I mean, and the reason that we kind of waited till now to do a live feed on Max is because when they're rutting, they're just kind of coming and going, and you just really never know when they're going to be here. But I've been watching him every night, and he's been coming in about 5:15 every night, and I just don't see him yet. Let's see if we can see him. Let me look one more time here, see if we can see him. See some more comments. Yeah, I love you, but I'm here for Max. I'm with you, man. I'm dying for Max. I want to see. I'm here to show you some Max. Let's see if we can go back to some. What time did I tell you Max was showing up? I'm gonna pull it up on. This live deal is tough. So I was thinking it's like 4. Was it 4:15? It's 4 something. Let's see if we can find Max. This will be from this morning. I don't see Max there. We'll find Max here in a sec. Y'all can see that all right, I guess. There we go. There we go. All right, so let me back up a couple here. So I'm backing up to no Max there. Backing up, no Max there. Another doe jumps in. This is at 4:07 this morning. There's Max just come out of nowhere. So there's Max. That's at 4:15. So a lot of times he'll bed down right here at this feeder. If you look at his right eye guard, he broke his right eye guard off this year, which is, I mean, if that's all he broke, dang, I'm happy with that. You ever fly an R66 yet? Maybe your next chopper. I actually owned an R66. for 2 years. So if y'all don't know what R66 is R66 is it's the big brother to the R44. It's just a turbine, and it's a 5-seat helicopter. Yeah, we liked it. It was fine. It was extra rough. So the reason that made it so rough is it's such big blades, and it was so light. So R66 only weighs 1,200 pounds, and R44 is actually about 1,500 pounds. So with that turbine engine, it takes so much weight off of them. They're really, really, really rough. They're fast. They cruise about 120 knots, super fast. But the problem is that turbine engine, they're so expensive to run. Like the reason I sold it is the starter generator went out on it, or is going out on it. And a starter generator for an R66, that's just the starter and the generator. It's not the motor, just starter generator. $45,000. So they're, and then you look at the 44. The 44, I could buy a whole new engine for $35,000. So, and truthfully, the 44 does everything I need, because most of the things I do is I train shooters out of it. So I got 2 guys hanging out of it shooting, and even the 66, I can only do 2 guys shooting. So it's not like I gain anything by going to the 66. Before I had a 66, I flew an MD 500, which is what a lot of people know is, like in the military version, it's called the Little Bird. So MD 500E model, I flew it for 6 years. It was awesome. Had tons of sex appeal. Loved the helicopter. Super expensive to operate. Super expensive. Wow. I mean, you take it in for an annual would be $15,000-$20,000. It's crazy expensive. So we're just watching Max. Old Max is hanging. He's gonna be here all night, isn't he? So, how many Mendota Max babies you think? Well, so he's 6 this year, and the average would be not very many. So what they claim is that in the wild, a deer produces. So this would be a live deer. Gets up to age. A deer only kind of gives him some room. So I'm hoping he's got more out there, and actually I'm hoping a bunch of them are does. But I bet you he's got. We're going to start seeing them in the next couple of years, and there's a couple of them I've seen that I think maybe, it looks a little bit like him. Look like clones of Pink. Oh, what's this deer here? Got another deer walking in. Oh, he's just a little 08. That's nothing good there. That deer there would almost be what I mean, he's probably a 9-point, but he's a mature deer, so he would be on the junker list, in my opinion.
You ever clone Max as he gets older?
No, we won't clone him. Remember, Texas Parks and Wildlife made it illegal for me to clone him, and if I did, I'd have to catch him, and I don't want to do that. I'd be more apt to shoot him and freeze his epididymal semen. What I'd be more apt to do, but just to be able to breed some more deer to him. But because to be able to get a native deer that big is, I mean, you can grow them in a pen this big, but nothing as beautiful as him. So this year, if you look at him, you notice he lost one of his drop tines. So he's got the one drop over here on this right side, but he's still got all the kickers. He's got a lot of height. Have you heard of the city of Mendota? Oh, I've heard of Mendota, California. Somebody told me about it the other day. Somebody dropped me a comment about Mendota, California. And there's a Mendota, Illinois, too, I think. I actually really don't know how they named this thing Mendota. There used to be a city here, or a town here, called Mendota. And the train got to go every 30 miles instead of every 15 miles. And that's what cut Mendota out. So the shipping pens they used to load cattle out on the train are still here. And then I never saw the church, but I know where the church was. It was out in the middle of Alfalfa field. I buried the schoolhouse. I buried it. It's over there by my pens. He's just gonna hang out here all night. Hopefully, when we switch over, we'll be live. Yeah. All right, we're at this is at 4:15 this morning. Let's go check the live feed and just see if anything's happening there yet.
Someone said they were proud of your horse with the buffalo.
Man, the buffalo was that was a killer deal. I'm telling you, most people are like giving me crap about the buffalo. I'm like, I'm telling you, I've gone through so many buffalo. We used to run buffalo in here every freaking day and just work them, work them, work them. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Here comes Max. Here comes Max. Y'all see him in the background? I got to flip you. Hang on. Okay, dang it. Okay, I think that's Max in the background. Y'all see him? Bang. I don't know if I can zoom in. There he is. Y'all see him right there? Moving? All right, this is live right now. So this is Max live. Oh, man. Here it comes. So he's about 15 minutes late, but we'll see. Pan him back out. No, I'm not going to shoot. Please don't shoot deer. No, we're not going to shoot anything. We're done shooting deer for the year. So we are done. So we shut down shooting. Now I can continue shooting deer until February, but let me see if I can flip this up. Oh, he's walking out of the scene. I don't know. I can't move. This camera here, I can't pan. This is one camera I can't. Let's give it a minute here. I'll switch back to here. I'll watch. I'm gonna watch this. If he jumps in, I can see a shadow. I can see a shadow walking around. Oh yeah. So I can see a shadow walking around. He's fixing to jump in this feeder here. I'll flip back. So as soon as he jumps in, I'll flip back live. But so we shut down shooting deer January 1 just because the antlers start falling off and we can't tell, when we're shooting deer out to 1,000 to 1,500 meters, we can't always tell if they're a buck or a doe, so we just shut her down because we don't want to, we'd hate to shoot a monster buck. All right, hang on, I'm gonna go back. I can see a shadow coming around. He's just walking around in a minute.
Someone asked if there's an antler on the ground.
No, that's not antler. Somebody asked if there's an antler on the ground. No, those are just roots or something on the ground that have been exposed from the deer. Dang. Is that Max on the other side of the feeder? Huh?
Max party.
Man, Max, come on, buddy. I got something moving on the other side of the feeder. Let's see. Oh, whoop, there he is. He showed up, man. I was sweating it. Dang. And I'm glad he still got his antlers on. So, he could shed. Hopefully he carries them for another month or so, but let me zoom in on him, see if does that look pretty good there? Yeah. Man, he's a monster. Somebody catch a count on them points and see what you think how many points there are.
How long is a doe pregnant?
So a whitetail doe, what's her gestation period is what they're asking me is, and a whitetail doe is 190 days. A mule deer is about 200. They're right at 190. So they're and a lot of times you'll see most times deer will have twins and even up to triplets. Sometimes when you see triplets, some of them are identical twins. So you can check their DNA, and then their DNA are matched. So then they're actually clones, the offsprings, which is an embryo that split. And actually, deer embryos they're easy to split.
8x8 or 8x9?
Is that what everybody says? 8x8 or 8x9? I don't know. Somebody counting them? He's usually an 8x9 is what he usually is, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 on this right side, but he's missing his eye guard, so that'd be 13, 14 on his eye guard. This other eye guard's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that what you count? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 on the other side. So how would that add up to? I lost count. Where was I?
7 and 9, I think.
Where was I?
I don't know.
I don't know. Points are points. The main thing is how long his beams are. That's where you get the big points.
Do you spot your antlers from the helicopter?
Oh yeah. Do we spot antlers from the helicopter? Absolutely. That's how we find Max's antlers every year, is from the helicopter. You can spot an antler from 500 feet from the helicopter. The brush is, you're looking right straight down in the brush, and it's really easy to see.
As I look at my 10-point mount on the wall, I just had.
So yeah, he makes all other deer look super small. I've got a lot of good deer on the wall. A funny story, well, not a funny story, back we had the big game contest, and in 1994 I was second place. So I won the second biggest deer shot in this region, and it has ended up like 30th in the state, and he only scored 150, what was it, 157 and 6/8. So this deer here is almost twice his size, and that was in 1994. That's like the biggest deer I'd ever seen, ever shot. It's pretty funny to think that we've come this far, and the deer have gotten so big. I better pan out. Here we go. Man, look at that beautiful deer. So Night Force was here the other day. We was working on some scopes with them, and we were sitting up on top of those cap rocks, and they got to see this guy. And it is extremely cool to watch him live like this. I mean, this is cool, but even live, or when you're looking through a scope at him, when he turns around, how big his antlers are. So I'm excited to see how healthy he is. He's looking really healthy. He doesn't look like he got beat up this year at all. He's fat. He didn't rut too hard. He's doing good. He didn't break his antlers up.
Can you do some workout videos?
I can workout videos, you bet. Yeah, and somebody else's, I can watch him all day. That's me. This is my TV at night. I essentially I pan around to these videos and just watch these guys. That's why I like these live cameras, because you can watch them live and just watch how they interact. I mean, you can do, like, the pictures are cool, but to be able to watch deer act with the video is fun to watch, because you'll see some more deer come in here and he'll run them off, or maybe he's got one buck that he runs with a lot, and they'll hang out. They'll hang out together a lot. Yeah, do we have much history of anthrax? Not here, thank God. So we've never had anthrax here. Now south of here, on the JA and down that way, south of Clarendon, that seems like the farthest I've heard anthrax. And we were down there on the ranch shooting pigs and coyotes, and when they had anthrax, and I found a lot of deer dead. There's all bucks that I found dead, but it was all bucks, and I'm sure they died of anthrax, and horses and cattle, and like you said, I don't know where it comes from. Like, maybe people say it's the buffalo, and that makes sense that the buffalo had anthrax, and then the ground gets. You get a really dry spell, and the ground cracks, and then you get a really wet spell, and through the cracks it brings the anthrax up, is what they say. And so it's a bad deal. But yeah. So anyways, I don't know how much longer y'all want to keep going with this deal. I've been on here about 40 minutes, but I'm like y'all, I don't get tired of looking at Max. Yeah, so drop me a comment if y'all like this live stream. We can do it some more. Hopefully, well, thank God. Normally we had this thing set up for in the helicopter, and we hadn't had to go to any grass fires, which I can't believe it, which is a good dang deal, because it's so dry, and you can see how much fuel. You can look behind Max and see how much grass we've got. It's amazing we hadn't had any big grass fires, which is a good deal. But it's good that y'all all commenting, and I'm having trouble keeping up with the comment and keeping up with looking at Max. So I'm looking at Max. I'm not even looking at the comments. But yeah, so we're getting yes, I love it. This is pretty good, pretty cool. Well, this is live. What you're watching is Pure D Live Max. That is him in action. I wonder if we could turn. Let me flip it around here. I was wanting to turn a little audio up. blowing. Got no other deer at any other feeders. Yeah. Can't even hear the wind blowing. Maybe we don't have any audio. One day so these cameras, you can talk back to them. So one day I actually talked to him, and he ran over and stood in the bushes and looked at me kind of funny for a while. Yeah. Keep it coming. Heck yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. The sad part about Max is he's getting old, and Max is going to be a hard one to ever replace. He's a once in a lifetime deer. There's just not, there's not many places, or I don't know if there's any place in the world where you can go and say, yeah, there's a low fence ranch and he's got 270-inch deer like Max. I mean, you can get some non-typicals that are 270, but not like Max. I mean, this is what deer are supposed to look like. I'm not a big non-typical fan. Like Pink was non-typical, and I'm just not a big fan of that. This is pretty good. Well, all right. Heck yeah. Well, all right. Well, I don't know. Y'all want to keep going, or we'll just wrap it up here. Yeah. Thanks to who? Mary Kay. Mary Kay. Thank you. Did I get a donation? Holy crap! Never got one of them before. I need that. Well, I know y'all rather look at Max than me, but I think we'll wrap it up here. Keep the comments coming, and we'll keep the videos coming, and I'll work on a dog video. I think this video this weekend, since y'all are live, is going to be this next video. What's it going to be? Bonnie had surgery, so we went to Vail, did surgery on Bonnie's hand again, so we got an update on it. And me and Easton putting up a new target. We got a Lincoln Town car we get to shoot up, so that's going to be fun. All right, well, unless we get a grass fire. Oh, and then Letty. Can't forget about Letty up here. Letty says goodbye. So Letty's a clone. So Letty's the clone of our old dog. So Lola's downstairs. She's 16. She can't hear, can't see, but she's still 16. And so we clone Lola, and Letty. This is Letty, and they act nothing alike. So there you go. All right, well, we'll see y'all in a couple days. Thanks for watching.